All right, so for this section, we're going to talk about unit conversions. I'm going to talk about customary unit conversions, which is what the United States use. A lot of other countries they use the metric system, but we use customary. So I'm going to talk about customary and metric in this section, and just other basic conversions that might require you to use some proportions, okay? All right, so let's start off on page 1 with customary length conversions. So, guys, I want you to know that 1 foot equals 12 inches, and you might want to write some of these down because you're going to need them for ingenuity. A yard equals 3 feet, and of course, 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. So we're going to be working with some conversions. I'm going to show you how to do dimensional analysis and just set up proportions, okay? It's good to know how to do both. I prefer dimensional analysis, but I will show you how to set the proportions up. All right, so let's get to it. Let me put this in 1. All right, so some examples of converting between units in the customary system concerning length. If I want to change 3.5 feet to inches, then I need to look in my chart for feet and inches, and so I'm going to be using this one. So I'm going to show you how to use the proportion first. So 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. That means 3.5 feet, which is 3.5 feet, is equivalent to how many inches? X inches. So notice how I have this set up. I have feet over inches, and over here it's feet, and I need to put this over inches. You could have done, some people gonna say, how do you know which one to put on top? You can do feet over inches or inches over feet, but just keep it consistent. Make sure if you put feet in first here, that feet will be first here. If you put inches on the bottom on this left side of the fraction, you put inches on the bottom on the right side of the fraction. All right, and what you do to solve a proportion is you simply cross multiply and divide. So I'm going to cross multiply these two numbers, 12 and 2.5, and then 1 and x. Okay? So you're going to set up an equation. So you're going to do 12 times 3.5, and then 1 times x, which is just x. Okay? So what is 12 times 3.5? It gives us 42. And I know that's 42 inches. That's all it is. Okay? Now, I also do mine another way. And the other way is called dimensional analysis, and I just start with what I have. This is the way I actually prefer. So you just take 3.5 feet and you set it equal to your conversion over here because you're going feet to inches. But what you do is you put the feet on the bottom so these can cancel out. So 1 foot would go on the bottom and 12 inches would go on the top. And whatever you have across the top, you always multiply. Dimensional analysis is set up where you can cross out the units. Feet will cancel with feet, okay? And so whatever is across the top, you multiply. Whatever's across the bottom, you divide. So if you 3.5 times 12, you get 42 inches, and you're done. But all I did was use my chart and put 12 inches over a foot so these two units could cancel each other out. All right, let's take a look at this one. 7 yards to feet. I'm going to start with 7 yards. And the one that deals with yards and feet is this one. However, you want to cancel yards, so put yards in your denominator. and feet in your numerator, so your yards would cancel. Well, that would be 1 yard and 3 feet from the chart. And whatever is up here, you multiply. So your answer is just 21 feet. That's all you do for dimensional analysis. I know some people are saying I prefer to do 1 yard over 3 feet and then 7 yards over X feet and then just cross multiply and divide. But I don't like writing all those fractions. I just don't. Okay. But you can do that. All right. I'm going to start with 52 inches. And I know I want inches in my denominator. I need something dealing with inches and feet. So I'm going to go back up here. Go back up here. This is dealing with inches and feet. So I know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. These inches will cancel, and I'm left with feet. But instead of multiplying, I can only multiply 52 times 1, which is 52. But I have to divide by whatever is in the bottom. So basically, I'm going to take 52 and divide it by 12. And that's going to give me 4.3 feet repeating. When you use dimensional analysis, make sure your units cancel. Inches cancels with inches, okay? Yards cancel with yards. But this is like over an imaginary 1. So this yards has to be in the top and this yards has to be in the bottom. This is like over an imaginary 1. This inches has to be in the top. This inches has to be in the bottom. So basically you end up with 52. And then you just divide by whatever is on the bottom over here. Divided by 12. Okay. Let's do feet to yards. Okay. So feet to yards. That's going to be this one again. 1 yard and 3 feet. So I'm going to start off with 12 feet. So I want to do feet to yards. I want feet to be in my denominator to cross out my feet. Yards to be in my numerator. So 3 feet equal 1 yard. So when the number is in your denominator, you're not going to multiply. You're going to divide. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we're left with 4 yards. So 12 feet equal 4 yards, and that's all you do. Of course, yes, you could have done 1 yard equals 3 feet, and then X yards equal to 12 feet. You could have done it that way. And you could have said 1 times 12 is 12. And 3 times x is 3x. And that's a one-step equation. And then divide both sides by 3. But I just prefer not to do all of that work. But again, that's totally up to you, okay? You can cross, multiply, and divide. It's totally up to you. Okay. So now let's do miles to feet. Let's use this one. This is going to be the one we use, miles to feet. Okay, so I know I'm going to start with 2 miles. And I want miles to cancel. So miles is going to my denominator. So that's 5,280 feet in the numerator. And the number 1 in my denominator. All right, so for these 2 are on top, so I multiply them. So 5,280 times 2. And I get, I'm going to do it down here. I'm going to get 10,560 feet. I don't know why this is writing like this. right, I want to go yards to inches. So if I look up here on this next example, there's nothing that goes from yards to inches. So what do you do? Okay. Well, I'm going to show you how I do mine. Let me get off of this. Nothing going straight from yards to inches. So I don't keep doing multiple proportions. So I'm going to start off with 10 yards. And I know I want yards to cancel with yards, so the yards is going to go on the bottom. So I'm going to go up here and figure out what do yards actually go to. So yards actually can go with feet. So I'm going to do yards and feet. Okay, but this says yards to inches. Okay, let me go ahead and fill this in. Yards and feet. So 1 yard equals 3 feet. So I'm going to put 1 yard equals 3 feet, okay? But that's not going to help me. That's only going to cancel out the yards. And I'm left with feet. So now I need to go try to figure out a way to get from feet to inches. Okay, so the yards are gone. Now I'm left with feet. Can I get from feet to inches? Let's see. Well, up here I got feet to inches. So I can use that. So what I'll do, it's not an equal sign. I'm sorry, guys. Let me erase that. It's all multiplication right here times this. Okay. I can do feet to inches. Now, feet are going to go on the bottom, so it cancels with this foot. So 1 foot is going to be on the bottom, and 12 inches is going to be on the top. All right, so what I'm going to do, and I hope you understand what I'm doing. I started off with 10 yards, and I know I couldn't go yards to inches, but I could go yards to feet. So I went yards to feet, but I made sure I put yards in my denominator. So for dimensional analysis, you need 1 unit in your numerator and 1 unit in your denominator to cancel out. Okay, that left me with feet. So now I need to figure out how to get, instead of yards to feet, yards to inches, feet to inches. And I can clearly see how to get from feet to inches just by using that in my chart up there. 1 foot equals 12 inches. But how did I know to put 1 in the denominator? Because feet is in the numerator here. So 1 feet have to go here to cancel. Feet, cancel with feet, and you're left with nothing but inches. So now I made it all the way to inches, okay? Finally made it to inches. Now, what do you do with all the numbers here? Well, you multiply them. Okay, so I'm going to do 10 times 3 times 12. That gives me 360 inches. So in 10 yards is 360 inches. Okay, let's do miles to yards. All right, miles to yards. Well, I just see miles to feet, so that's what I got to go with. Okay, I'll work my way to yards in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go with miles to feet because that's all the chart says, miles to feet. So I'm going to start with 1.5 miles. And I'm going miles to feet, but keep the miles in your denominator so they cancel each other out. Well, 5,280. I don't know why this pen is doing this. Feet are in 1 mile. But it only gets me from miles to feet. Now I got feet left. Okay, I got feet left. So now I get rid of feet. I need to see if there's a way for me to get from feet to yards. So let's see. We'll use this one. We'll use 1 yard and 3 feet. Okay. However, you got to put the 3 feet in the denominator so these can cancel out. Okay, so watch this now. I'm going to multiply everything on the top. Multiply all those. So it's going to give me 1.5 times 5,280 just times 1, which is 7,920. But you have to divide by whatever is in your denominator. And the denominator is a 1 and a 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. Sorry about that. So you're going to take that number and divide it by 3. And you get 2,640 yards. I hope this is making a sense. Dimensional analysis. It's just canceling out units to get from one unit to the next. All right, let's look at customary weights. Pounds, ounces, tons, and pounds. All right, so let's do page 2. So I know 1 pound. 1 pound is going to equal 16 ounces, and 1 ton equals to 2,000 pounds. So I'm going to convert pounds to ounces. I'm going to start off with 3 pounds times. Is there anything that gets me from pounds to ounces? This one right here. But ounces is going to go in my denominator. Oh, pounds is going to go in my denominator. Because I started off with pounds. Pounds must go in my denominator here so that they can cancel, which means ounces go in the top. So that's 16 ounces equals 1 pound. And I'm going to multiply 3 times 16, which is 48. So 3 pounds is 48 ounces. If you wanted to use proportional reasoning, you could just say 1 pound, LB is pound, over 16 ounces, OZ is ounces, equal to 3 pounds over X ounces. Now, if you're using the proportion, if you do pounds over ounces, you got to do pounds over ounces in the other fraction. And then when you do 3 times 16, you get 48, and 1 times X is just X. All right, for this one, I have 5 tons equals how many pounds? 5 tons, T for tons. And I can go tons to pounds by using this one. But I want to put my tons in the bottom, so put 1 ton in the bottom and 2,000 pounds in the top. I'm just going to multiply these two. So 5 times 2,000, and these tons will cancel out. 5 times 2,000 is 10,000 pounds. And that is all you do. Okay? Okay, going from ounces to pounds. There's a way to get from ounces to pounds. Go back and use this one. So I'm going to start with 78 ounces. And I'm going to multiply by, I got to put ounces on the bottom and pounds on the top so that these ounces cancel each other out. So that would be 16 ounces and 1 pound. 78 times 1 is 78. But I got to divide it by 16. So I got 78 divided by 16 is 4.875 pounds, guys. Pounds to tons. Well, I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to start off with 15,000 pounds. Okay. Pounds is going to go on the bottom. And the ton is going to go on the top. If it will write correctly, it won't even write. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so I know 2,000 pounds. I think I got too much stuff open. Let me see if I can close some of this stuff. I'm on the unit conversions now. I don't want to close Screencastify right there. Let's close Screencastify right there. Close Screencastify there. Let's close up there. close up Screencastify right there. Let's close up my Gmail and go back to my unit conversions and see if this pen works a little faster. All right, so I know that it's pounds to tons, so I'm going to use this one. So 2,000 pounds is 1 ton. Still not really writing any better, guys. It barely wanted to write that 0. Okay, I don't know why that jumped way lower down. And it's jumping some more. Okie dokie. Might be an indication for me to stop making these videos right now because I'm tired. Okay, these are going to cancel. And now 15,000 times 1 is 15,000. But you have to divide by 2,000 because that's the number in the bottom. In your denominator, these are going to cancel. I can cancel out that many zeros. So that's basically 7.5 tons. All right, let's go tons to ounces. So if you look up here, there's tons only goes to pounds, okay? So that's how we can work it right now. So I'm going to start off with 2 tons. And I'm going to go tons to ounces. But not to ounces, pounds, because that's all it goes to. So 1 ton is going to be equal to 2,000 pounds. Let me put a time sign because you're really multiplying, okay? All right, that's a time sign. And now, these tons are going to cancel, and I'm left with pounds. Now, is there a way for me to get to pounds to ounces? Well, let's see. Pounds and ounces, I got to use 1 and 16, okay? All right, but what's going on the bottom? Well, pounds. 1 pound is going on the bottom, so I can cancel with that. And 16 ounces is going on the top. So I'm going to take everything on the top and multiply it. And I can see on the bottom, I'm only dividing by the number 1. So that's good because 1 times 1 is 1. So I have 2 times 2,000, which is 4,000, times 16. So 64,000 ounces, guys. In 2 tons, there are 64,000 ounces. Now, be careful when you're using dimensional analysis because I'm going to tell you on something like what we did on this page, you have to be careful here. Let me find it. You have to make sure, like on this one with the 1.5 miles, that you multiply everything across the top and multiply everything across the bottom and then divide. Okay? Multiply across the top. Multiply across the bottom. Or you're going to divide it by what you get after you multiply from what's across the bottom. And this pen is writing in super slow mode, guys. It won't even write. I think this is going to be my last video for right now until I can figure out what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, this is supposed to say bottom. So like right here, I multiplied across the top. And I multiplied across the bottom. And I just divided them in the end, okay? So make sure you do that when you're using dimensional analysis. All right, I'm trying to see what else I had. I'm not going to do ounces and teaspoons right now because this pen is lagging. I think what I do is I'll wait until I'm going to reset this thing and then do it. Okay, so I'm going to do another part of this video. It's not going to be able to go all together because it's, I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or what, but it's acting slow.